Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. All right, today's Friday, so it's my PowerPoint day. Hope you're appreciating both the holidays and Oi to the world here, my Jewish friends celebrating Hanukkah. So today we're going to work on what we call the alchemical crucible. Just like alchemy taught that there's prima materia, the gunk of your life, they were trying to make base metals out of gold. So in the same way, it's strange, but your family life, to a great degree, provides the same amount of potential for you to open up and see what is going on in your life. So the alchemical crucible, right? It leads you to the understanding of a kind of a life experience, right? In the Indian tradition, the Purushatmas, the four aims of life, it's their version, just like we have education, work, and retirement. They have their four versions. And what is that? Well, the first is called Artha, advancement in the world. Leave a mark on the world. Right? They say, get a life, as we say, right? Not just a past life, inner life too. And don't put your hand to the plow if you're going to look back. Do your thing, ground yourself, work. That's that stage. And they also say you also have to enjoy yourself. Eros, relatedness to everything in life. When you come to life, you learn how you can love. That's an important thing, isn't it? Not to be connected to someone and feel that beautiful warmth that connects human beings. We're supposed to enjoy the gifts of the Creator. In the Jewish tradition, they say you're held accountable for every pleasure you're permitted to experience and don't take advantage of. So take advantage of it. Then in addition to accumulation and enjoyment or pleasure, you also have to wrap your life around the Dharma, the wheel of righteousness. And it's a beautiful teaching. The Dharma doesn't suffer in comparison to any teaching. And it leads you to seva or service to other people, where you can do your duty and know that you're doing the right thing because you're treating everybody ethically with compassion, kindness, gentleness. But ultimately it all goes towards what? Moksha, freedom, spiritual realization, beatitude. You get the vision of heaven, the realization that we're part of a greater self. And the great self wants something from you. What does it want? Well, we're going to find out if we stay on this path. First, you have the mythic inoculation. This is not like when you take a little bit of a disease in you to give you immunity. You take a little bit of life into you. You're not going to be immune to life. But every culture teaches you in some way. You run through the heart of the culture, and everybody's connected to the same fire. But we don't have a singular story to adhere to, which is why we're in such a societal and cultural chaos. Planetary awareness, for those of us who are seeing the big picture and thinking ahead, it's in embryonic form. The Aquarian age is still a ways away, another 150 years, they say, for the precession of the equinoxes. But we're already thinking high-minded thoughts way out in space. So what's next? Well, the unity of the species is next. Now, Western society has often thought that kids are a tabula rasa. They're born like a blank slate. There's always the debate, is it nature or nurture? Well, we know that now science says that genetically everybody's born with at least 400 intelligence markers. So we don't just have to implant culture, we have to awaken and guide what's there already. Educate the child to recognize its gifts, its innate genius that it comes with. So it can already go where its soul wants to go. And you realize that ego attitudes and cultural beliefs are too narrow for what's inside the soul. The soul isn't puny. Where we say, oh, the soul is in the body. No, the body is in the soul. The soul is not puny. And morality is not invented on Sinai. It's innate to the soul. If we're left to ourselves, we wouldn't be anarchists. That's a fear thought that people use to control you. Now, childhood is idealized, and yet in so many ways, children are so mistreated. Yeah, like if she gives you the poison apple, you have to ask, is it organic? So this is where what I call the king and queen, or the mother and the father, they bless joyfully, or they lay the curse on the fairest of what's inside ourselves and damages our self-esteem, which blocks the entry into the garden, as we would say. The shadow king or queen doesn't want the kid to grow up because they're twisted or poisoned. They're afraid they'll usurp their throne. So you have to learn not to fall asleep, because when the king and queen within you are asleep on the throne, that's when consciousness doesn't develop and the monsters roam through the kingdom, roam through the realm. All right, so what can we do about this? Well, first, for my male friends out there, just remember, you can't save your mother. You're not responsible for her pain, her sadness, or her marriage. So if you're a cisgender man, don't try to make your woman happy. It ain't going to happen. Make yourself happy and offer that to whatever struggles she has to go through. Now, I love this quote: being part, but welcome to being a parent of a teenager. Prepare for a large amount of eye-rolling, emotional outbursts, and thoughts of running away. And that's just the parents. Yeah, so all children are supposed to challenge the constricting energy. That creativity actually will create more life, more delight in their life. If they're compliant, that's what makes them susceptible to predators. So you don't want to regress teenagers. They have to break away. They have to show they're no longer dependent. We don't have initiation to make a clean break like they did in the old days. So teenagers talk ugly. They love heavy metal lyrics, which seems bewildering to the parents, but that shows it's time to move on. They're ripe for ritual initiation. Like nerves that still think the trauma is happening, we have to give them a new imprinting for whatever happened in their past. We got to convince ourselves that that's not happening anymore. Let go of the childhood and the teenage stuff, where the psyche continues to react as if you're little, powerless, you have no clout. So that's an infantile part of ourselves that has to be sacrificed in order for us to really be mature. And so one of the images that James Hillman, a psychologist, taught me was the difference between a monotheistic and a polytheistic understanding, image-wise. Polytheism, which means multiplicity of the soul, varieties of internal imaginations that are really natural. We have so many ways of expressing ourselves instead of embodying in order to embody what we came here to do. But if the family is a kind of fundamentalist about their values, that environment is too narrow. It only gives you one way. There's only one way, our way or the highway. And so that mono thought is fundamentalism because it offers no solutions. There are no other possibilities. No other way is allowed. Everything is fixated. And that's how you suffocate spiritually. All right, so what to do about that? Well, first of all, recognize your vulnerability. Everybody has a limp that they usually try to hide because we're ashamed of it. But actually, that's where the real change occurs. When you can face your stuff. You gain tolerance for the presence of the broken, the unfinished, and the imperfect within yourself and in others. As the church says, if you don't limp, you ain't shit. They used to ritually wound the king or queen. So with every step they took, they limped along so they would never forget the poor people who were suffering. So the rites of passage, that's what gives you the second birth. This is the treasure hard to attain, they call it. This is where the inner values, the inner teacher, the inner sage, which is they speak to your heart. They're the symbol of the inner ideal. The wise woman gives you courage to the part of you that wants to stick it out, that has to face the challenges and the pressures. And I hope that you're lucky enough in some way to meet a mentor, because the mentor is the bridge to your greatness. They see who you are and they recognize the same fire that you have with them. You're in competition with them, not like a tennis match where someone's on the other side of the net, but you're petitioning the same deity, right? They may not care about whether you make it in the world the same way that your parents worry about you, but they see your spiritual nature and they try to foster that. Usually it's not the family who does that because they have different dreams for you about the incoming soul, not the same dreams that the incoming soul has for itself. So that's the question. What is your story and the medicine it contains that you carry around within yourself? You discover that, you find your purpose in the world. And finally, in ritual space, the desire to win is replaced by the desire to be seen or to display. An elder has to oversee the cooking process of the neophyte who can't determine for themselves What's too little or too much? If you stay too short, you end up like soft clay. Stay too long, you're overbaked and blackened. So this is the frank disclosure. Who you're going to trust. So my friends, the real redemption is in the shadowy stuff. But in that shadowy stuff, you're going to find the capacity to help others. Going into that which is dark helps you illuminate it. Then you can share with others your hard-earned wisdom. That's all I got for today, friends. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you have a fantastic life.